We are lucky to have with us today Rabbi Friedman, known as Rabbi Manis Friedman. We've had it many, many years. We've been doing this. We didn't do it last year, but we've done it in the past. It's an opportunity for Bachram to hear another opinion, to hear another perspective. Many times I hear questions and I hear discussions, I hear topics and complaints and comments that I don't always have the right words to explain it. Rabbi Friedman has been doing this for many, many years. And Baruch Hashem, we've seen tremendous success. Tremendous hatzlacha. We'll try to get to as many as we could. Sometimes we don't get to all the answers, but if he answers 5 of the 10 questions and the 5 of them are good, then you know that the other 5 there's also answers. And it's just a matter of researching and asking and figuring it out. So without further ado, Rabbi Friedman, thank you very much for coming. We are really honored and we're happy to have you here.
Thank you. Should just go right into the questions, or should we talk a little bit?
You have the floor.
Okay. There are 3 ways to ask questions. There's a thing called questions. There's a thing called questioning. There's a difference between asking a question or questioning. There are also some questions that you're not supposed to answer. For example, why do good people suffer? You're not supposed to answer that question. Because whatever answer you give is an insult. Because you're justifying their suffering. So the question is not a question that needs an answer. It's a question that needs a change. Like, for example, 6 million Jews died in the Holocaust. You want to know why? What do you gain? What will you gain if you know why? The only thing that'll happen is that you'll be more comfortable with the fact that they died. Is that a good thing? Do you want to be more comfortable? The only answer to 6 million people dying is that those 6 million people should come back. That's the only answer. Because if I gave you a good reason for them to die, and you accept my reason, you've become an anti-Semite. The death of Jews makes sense only to an anti-Semite. So if I gave you a good excuse or reason for them to die, and you accept it, you say, oh, okay. Okay, you're an anti-Semite. So the question of why do bad things happen, the question of why did the neshama come down into a body, these are not questions you want to answer. These are questions you want to solve. So Moshe Rabbeinu asked, after he went to Pare, and Pare got worse and made the slavery worse, Moshe asks the Eibishter, why did you make it worse? What does the Eibishter say? Look, I'm taking them out, okay? They're coming out of Mitzrayim. Moshe said, okay, that's what I wanted to hear. But don't give me a lecture about how good it is to suffer. He didn't want that. So it seems like, if you look at it just superficially, it seems like the Eibishter didn't answer him. Moshe asked, why do people suffer? And the Eibishter said, I'll take them out of Mitzrayim. It's as if they're not communicating. But the truth is, that's exactly what Moshe was asking for. Not for an explanation on suffering. He was saying, enough already. So the Eibishter said, I agree, I'll take him out of Mitzrayim. So Moshe said, okay, that's what I wanted to hear. Okay, so there are 3 kinds of questions. There's a question, there is questioning, and there is a question that doesn't need an answer. Let's not get confused. Somebody came, I think, to the Gerer Rebbe, and the Rebbe asked him, you put on tefillin? This was right after the war. And he said, no. And the Rebbe said, why not? He said, because I have a kasha that nobody can answer. What's the kasha? Why was there a Holocaust? So the Rebbe said to him, and that's why you don't put on tefillin? He says, yeah. So the Rebbe said, you see, now I'm confused. why was there a Holocaust is your question, or why was there a Holocaust is your answer to why you don't put on tefillin. So is the Holocaust your question or your answer? No wonder you can't get an answer. It's not a question anymore. It has become your answer. Why don't I put on tefillin? Why am I not tefillin? Because there was a Holocaust. So what happened to the question? See, that's called questioning. You're not really asking a question. You're simply refusing the facts. So there's some people, they question everything. If you meet somebody who questions everything, you can't talk to them. Because even when you give them an answer, they'll question that. You give them a better answer, they'll question that. They're not asking, they're questioning. That's their thing. Questions is their thing. If you give them a good answer, they're going to hate you because you took away their question. So there are people who are questioners. You can't argue with them. The best thing to say is, fine. So what do you want? I had this conversation with a guy, a student at the university. He came to the Chabad house for Shabbos. And we're talking this, that, and the other. He says, oh, well, wait a minute. I don't believe in God. I said, what? He says, I don't believe in God. I said, I don't understand. What are you saying? He said, what? You think everybody believes in God? I don't believe in God. I said, I hear what you're saying. I don't understand. He says, what don't you understand? I said, I don't understand what God is. What's God? He says, I don't know. I said, so what don't you believe in? So when he said, I don't believe in God, he really meant, I have no idea what that is. So how can you say you don't believe it when you don't even know what it is? You see how confused people get? And he was so proud of the fact that he doesn't believe in God because it seemed like that made him intelligent. But there's nothing intelligent about it. So he said, okay, fine. You tell me, what's God? I said, okay, now you're asking a decent question. By the way, do you believe in ghosts? You don't believe in ghosts? I don't know which is worse, if you do believe or you don't believe. If you do believe in ghosts, you're a little weird. If you don't believe in ghosts, you have no excuse. Why would anybody not believe in ghosts? Why? No one ever saw one. Okay, so it's past history. But you don't believe in ghosts?
I believe there's a spirit, but it's in heaven or somewhere else, but it's not here.
Why not?
The story with Kiva.
No one getting haunted by anybody.
Oh, I can introduce you to some people. There's a Chabad house. Where is this? In Philadelphia, someplace, or outside of Philadelphia. They bought the house for nothing because nobody wanted it. It was haunted.
Did they see a ghost?
They saw. I don't want to convince you that there are ghosts. They set up the table, cups, napkins, plates, and they moved.
Was the window open?
No. No, this place was officially, neglected and unwanted because it was haunted. And when the Chabad house bought it, it was in all the newspapers. They became famous immediately. A religious group buys haunted house, is not afraid. And it became the conversation of town. Anyway, here's my point. If I ask you, do you believe in ghosts? Your response should be, what's a ghost? Before you say, I do believe, I don't believe, shouldn't we first know what we're talking about?
What's a ghost?
What's a ghost?
You.
By the way, I thought the Baal Shem banned all Shindalids.
Right. So the first thing we know is,
It's a demon.
right, the first thing we know is a ghost is not a demon. Don't get your ghosts confused. They're the good ghosts, the bad ghosts.
Well, the story with, I think it was Rabbi Akiva, someone cutting wood, and the sun wasn't saying Kaddish for him. I think it was Rabbi Akiva, wasn't it?
Right, so there's ghosts and there are spirits. They're not the same thing.
What's the difference between those two?
All right, so a ghost is
Something that's
the presence of someone's existence that is left after the person dies.
Soul?
It's not the soul. It's the effect that he had on the place. So, Lamoshel, if these walls could speak, they would tell you everything that happened in this room. Who was here, what they did. So when you come into a haunted house, and I think that's the case with this Chabad house in Philadelphia, somebody was murdered there. It was a tavern. And there was a fight and somebody got murdered. That event is still, you can feel it when you walk into the place. Because the walls absorbed that event or that horror, and you can actually feel it when you walk in if you're sensitive. So what is a ghost? The memory of an event or of a person in a room, in a place, So if you ask me, do I believe that? I can't say no, because I don't know. And I can't say yes. But to say I don't believe it, I can't say I don't believe it. I can't say, no, that's not possible. It's not possible. Of course it's possible. So the person who says, no, I don't believe in ghosts. Why? Why? Because you never saw one? Well, Baruch Hashem, you never saw one. That doesn't mean. So here's my point. There's a difference between an intelligent person who loves to learn new things and an insecure person who is afraid of making a mistake. Usually an atheist is a person who's afraid of making a mistake. So he doesn't want to believe because what if he's wrong? And then it'll be so embarrassing that he was naive and they tricked him So to be safe, he refuses to believe. I don't believe in ghosts, I don't believe in God, I don't believe in Torah, I don't believe in heaven, I don't believe in hell. Why? Because what if not? Then I'll be the fool. An intelligent person, on the other hand, if he hears something he never heard before, he gets excited. No? What is the difference between a guy who says, wow, I never heard that, versus a guy who says, nah, I never heard that? What's the difference?
One's excited and one's skeptical.
So who's more intelligent?
The one's who's excited.
Because he's using his intelligence. The guy who doesn't want to accept it is emotional. He's afraid. No. You're not going to convince me of that. Why not? Because you're intelligent. So let me give you this quick example. You can use it in many. A guy is an explorer, and he went to Australia. First guy went down to Australia. And he comes back, and he tells you that there's an animal there that carries its baby in a pocket. And you say, oh, come on. You think I'm so stupid that I'm going to believe that? I'm too intelligent to believe that. Are you intelligent?
No. Close-minded.
closed-minded. Imagine you say to the explorer, you say, "Oh, come on, I never heard of such a thing." What would the explorer say?
It's true, it's true.
You've never been there.
Mhm.
You have no credibility to say you've never.
No, the fool would say, it's true, it's true.
Right. The explorer would say, "I'm an explorer." You know what an explorer does?
He has the credibility to say.
Not only that, an explorer is somebody who goes to places you didn't go so that he can come back and tell you of things you never saw. So if you say, "Oh, I never saw that," exactly, that's why I get the big bucks. That's why I'm an explorer. Or if the person says, "Oh, I don't believe that, I never heard that." Of course you never heard that. I'm the explorer. I'm supposed to come back and tell you things you never heard. So now you say, "Yeah, well, what if he's lying?" What if he's lying? What are you, paranoid? That's not an intelligent reaction. You have to have a reason to suspect that he's lying. You can't just be paranoid. But everybody lies to you? Where did you grow up? So, what reason would a person have to say God gave the Torah on Har Sinai on Shavuos 3,000 years ago? I don't believe that. No? Why?
Because he wasn't there technically.
Because you weren't there?
That's what he. Hey, I'm giving examples.
Yeah, that's exactly why people say, "Oh, no, I never saw such a thing."
It's not in their reality.
Right. So if it's not in your reality, you're closed. That's it. Your reality is the only reality.
My reality is the safest reality.
Exactly. Not the most intelligent, just the safest. Right. So an intelligent person would say, "Really? Tell me more. What's God? And what did he give? And where is Har Sinai?" Instead he says, "No, I don't believe that." What? You don't even know what I said yet. That's called a questioner, not a question. And you really can't answer somebody who's not asking a question. So, asking a question is an intelligent activity. Intelligence means I want to know more. But if you're saying, "No, I'm turned off to this," okay, then let's go do something else. Then it's not a question anymore. Then it's just questioning. So let's take a look at some of these questions.
Is that what they are?
Have you read the entire Shas? No. How do you become a tzaddik? I don't know. Do you have 100% emunah? I don't think so. You like these answers? Wait, I'm not finished. How to win the Yetzer Hara and convert it to do good? I have no idea. Is it better to stay Svardi or become a Lubavitcher? I don't know. I'm not a Svardi. The Rebbe said we're the last generation of Mashiach. Why hasn't he come? I don't know. You know? Why do we learn Gemara if 70% of the stuff is useless? Who came up with that number, 70%? Maybe 80%? No? Some mathematician worked this out? What is hell? How the hell should I know? Science says the earth revolves. Torah says the sun revolves. How does that work? Everything's revolving. What's the problem?
You didn't write the rest.
Huh?
You didn't write the rest. The question is that
I wouldn't have said it.
science says that the earth revolves around the sun. And
Geometric,
says that
heliocentric.
the sun revolves around the earth. How does it work? Because
Einstein
there's a
made it
line
very
of planets. So how would the sun be able to revolve around the earth specifically without revolving around everything?
It all depends on where you are. If you're standing on the earth, the sun is revolving around you. If you were standing on the sun, the earth would be revolving around you. And it's like two trains passing in the sun. Who's moving? They're both moving.
Theory of relativity, Einstein.
Right. Anyway, in other words, I don't know. You can't know who's moving when both are moving. Should I live a simple 9-to-5 job, or should I go for a riskier life following my passion? What's a riskier job? Be a fireman? An explorer in Australia? And if I understand the question properly, go with the passion. If it's a job. Not just passion. A job that you're passionate about, definitely. When and where should I look for loving someone? In your house? Don't go looking for strangers to love. You got people right there in your house. What's wrong with having a friend that's a girl? Now, rabbis tell me because you're going to come to do something wrong, but I don't think that's true. I don't want to speak to boys all day and think of girls as zombies. Huh? Are girls zombies? Do you believe in zombies? You believe in zombies? Yeah, there are definitely some zombies out there. Huh?
They were defiant, they died. They left Egypt early and they died.
They're still dead.
No, they came back.
So what's a zombie? A living dead? Really? Is that what it means?
I think so.
Actually, zombies come from a religion called voodoo. When people in that religion go into a trance and they become a little, that's called zombie. So they think it's a good thing. Everybody else thinks you're a zombie. All right, let's get to the real questions. Hey?
Other side of that page.
These are the ones, okay. Let's get serious. Why do we daven if Hashem doesn't answer? First of all, in most cases, he does answer. It's very easy to be discouraged when you ask for something and it doesn't happen. And then you forget everything that is happening that you didn't even ask for. So you got to keep a balance. A lot of good things are happening in your life. Because if that's not true, you're really in trouble. Your life is great. And you want something more, and it's not happening. So that means the Eibishter is not answering. So keep things in balance. Secondly, do we daven in order to get an answer from Hashem?
No.
Is prayer like an ATM and you put in your card and nothing comes out and you're all upset? I don't think that davening 3 times a day is because you need something. 3 times a day, every day, you're asking for something? You're a nudnik. Gimme, 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 gimme. Stop it.
Millennial age.
Right. The entitlement. We don't daven because we need something. Al pi Torah, the mitzvah, the eraisa, the Torah mitzvah is, if you need something, ask the Eibishter. When you have a need, turn to me, God says. That's not 3 times a day, every day. Davening 3 times a day, every day, is midrabanon, and it has a completely different meaning. It's not your needs. Because you can't have that many needs. You daven mincha, an hour later you have more needs. Ma'ariv. Come on, stop it. The reason for davening is, first of all, because he wants to hear from you, not because you need. It's a mitzvah like all other mitzvahs. A mitzvah means something the Eibishter wants. He wants to hear from you. Good news, bad news, what you need, what you don't need. But, check in. It's also a reality check. You know what you're supposed to be. You know how you're supposed to serve Hashem. Are you? And if you're not, don't avoid him. You were supposed to do something for your mother and you didn't do it. So now you're avoiding her. Don't do that. If you didn't do it, go tell her that you didn't do it. Don't ruin the relationship over some incident or detail. So davening means come to the Eibishter and say, this is me. I didn't do it, I did do it, I'm good, I'm not good. But I'm being honest, here I am, this is me. That is so healthy. And it's so important. When you get caught up in your guilt and you're ashamed to face the Eibishter, your life is messed up. And that shouldn't happen. So it's actually brave. It takes courage. Stand in front of the Eibishter and be who you are. Don't run and hide. And the Eibishter loves that. He's not going to get turned off. He would much rather have you come and say, I'm failing, I'm not interested, I didn't do it, than to not talk to him. Somebody asked me a really, really interesting question. We were talking about the fact that the Eibishter has everything, and we get whatever we have from him. So there's nothing we have that he doesn't. Kind of makes sense, yeah? What is the first halacha in Rambam? He is amitas himotze, and everything else comes from him. So somebody said, really? There's nothing we have that he doesn't have? Can he do an availa? Can he sin? We can sin. Is that a good question or is that stupid? Huh?
Good question.
I think it's a good question.
Technically, can't sin.
Because?
He can't do mitzvahs
Doesn't
and
have
or
a
sin.
nefesh.
I mean, he can do his own thing.
In the sense that
What does he do? Give tzedakah?
No, that's a mitzvah. Can he do a sin? Huh?
he could do mitzvahs.
Can't do anything.
When we do mitzvahs, he does mitzvahs. When we do mitzvahs, he does mitzvahs. No?
So how is it that we can do it if he can't?
Hashem puts on tefillin when we do.
Those are mitzvahs. What Avedas does he do? Huh?
I'm guessing he takes every time we do a he's taking it he did it.
That's good. If we do an Aveda, he feels guilty as if he did it.
Every time someone dies, Hashem killed him, in a sense.
Okay. So listen to this. What is an Aveda? An Aveda means you did something that he doesn't want. That's an Aveda. Something against Ratzon Elyon. Does he ever do anything that he doesn't want?
Probably.
Punish us? He doesn't want to do that, but he has to.
For example, yes. What else?
Um,
Someone gets sick.
He may not comparing it now.
You know, we have this impression that we're here fighting the battle. We're struggling through life, and we've got issues, and we win and we lose, and he's sitting there drinking Coke or something. He doesn't have any problems. He doesn't really care. He's not affected by anything. He's God. If that's what you think, you have no idea. It bothers him when he punishes us. What else? Let me give you such a long list. First of all, in order to create the world, there had to be a tzimtzum.
Okay.
He had to restrict himself.
But Simpson is an availa?
It goes against his will. He doesn't want to do that. He hides from us.
Right.
Why? So that we'll have free choice. He doesn't want to hide. It's against his will. He sends the neshama down from the highest of high to the lowest of the low. A little piece of him. He hates it. He created the Yetzer Hara. He hates it every day.
Like the king and the...
Golus. He hates it. Even the Eitz Hadas. What do you create an Eitz Hadas for? You have Gan Eden, everything is perfect. You have to put an Eitz Hadas in there to mess everything up. He hates it.
Is free choice really free choice? Like, did we really have a choice about the Exodus, or was it inevitable?
That's the next question. We'll get to freedom of choice in a second. But first, get to know the Eibishter a little bit. The Eibishter sacrifices in order for the world to exist. Because there are so many things he really doesn't want. Like even making the moon get smaller, he regrets it. Having to throw Adam and Chava out of Gan Eden, he hated that. That's all part of Yeridas Neshama. So, the Alter Rebbe says in Tanya, if you stop and think how much he gives up in order to have you, you can't give up some of your taivas in order to have him. So now all of a sudden, we're not so far from the Eibishter like you thought. It's not like we have all these issues and we're facing real life and he's sitting there like on vacation. No. It's the opposite. The things that bother us, that really hurt us, how long is it going to hurt?
It's how long you live.
Maximum 120 years. Something bothers him, it's forever. It's infinite.
How does he get bothered if he's not physical?
Huh?
He's not physical. How does he get bothered?
See, here's the point. The physical is insensitive. That's what physical means. So if a physical human being can have a little sensitivity, can you imagine what he has? Because he's not physical. So where do we get this impression that physical is real and Elokus is not? It's the opposite. The physical is barely real. I'll give you an example. The Eibishter has an arm. It says in the Torah, the Eibishter has an arm. Does he have an
So
arm?
we should understand.
No. The Eibishter says, I have a foot. Does he have a foot? No. It says the Eibishter has a mouth. He has no mouth. Right? The Eibishter spoke. Come on, he doesn't speak. The Eibishter got angry. He doesn't get angry, he's the Eibishter. The Eibishter wants. He doesn't really want. It doesn't matter to him, he's the Eibishter. So almost anything the Torah says about the Eibishter is not true. Is that how you were taught?
Interpret it in a different way.
Huh?
See it in a different way, what he says.
Which is?
I don't know.
All right. So everybody, if you ask this question, everybody will tell you, he doesn't have an arm, it's just a muscle. Wait a minute. If he,
I mean, the Hashem is infinite, so he has an arm and he doesn't have an arm, and anything in between.
right. If I can have an arm,
He can also have an arm.
he can certainly have one, right?
Exactly.
He has millions of arms, he's everything, right?
Okay, so what does it mean, don't take it literally?
Metaphor.
You were told not to take it literally. So does he really want? Don't take it literally. Is he really angry? Don't take it literally.
He built us in his image, so. I mean, he doesn't have arms, maybe like spiritual arms. He builds in his image.
Right. Right. So if we're created in his image and we have an arm, he must also have an arm,
Yeah, but spiritual arm, not physical.
a spiritual arm. So now the question is, which is real, a physical arm or a spiritual arm?
Well, technically, we were all spiritual before. This is just he just made physical, so physical's fake.
So again, a good example. My granddaughter was crying because her doll broke. The arm came off. So I sit down with her and I say, oh, I can't imagine how much that hurt. So she starts to laugh. She says, it didn't hurt. I said, how could it not hurt? The arm came off. She said, it's not a real arm. I said, how do you know? She says, it's plastic. See? A plastic arm is not a real arm. It's just plastic. So what's a real arm? My arm, because it has a bone. Really? That makes it real? It's just a bone. So that's already a real arm? You know what a real arm does? It splits a C. That's a real arm. My arm can't split a C. So it's not a real arm. It's a muscle on the real arm. So should I take, when it says in Torah the Eibishter has an arm, should I take it literally? Yes. You mean his arm is real? Yes. You mean like mine? No. His is real. So what does it mean, don't take it literally? That's a mistake. Don't take it physically. Don't think his arm is physical. Why not? Because his arm is real. Physical is not a real arm. It's just a muscle. So now, when the Torah calls my arm yad, and his arm yad, is that not a little confusing? The answer is, we're calling your arm an arm because it's a muscle. It helps you understand a tiny little bit about his arm. But if he doesn't have an arm, and you're calling it an arm to help me understand what? That he doesn't have an arm? So now it makes sense. Calling my arm an arm gives me a little bit of help in understanding his arm. Two arms, right side, left side, chesed, gvura. So by being created in his image, helps me understand him a little bit. Now let's apply it to feelings. He gets angry? No, human beings get angry. No. He really gets angry. Human beings just blow a fuse. Lose control. Get bent out of shape. So who really gets angry? Who really speaks? A human being or he? He said, let there be light, and there was light. You try it. Say dark, see if it helps. Okay, so who really speaks? He speaks. We babble.
Yeah, we do.
So his ratzon is real. He really wants. Or is that too human? No, he really wants. We don't really want, because you keep changing your mind. Last year you wanted a bicycle, now you want a car. Or a motorcycle. So did you really want a bicycle last year?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it went away. It's not a real need. It's not forever. The Eibishter is forever. So if you go against his will, it hurts much more than if somebody goes against your will. Because by him, everything is real. By us, it's all temporary. So, why do we daven? Because he needs to hear from you. He really needs to hear. Yes, he really needs. Everything about him is real.
Like a parent wants to hear from a kid?
Much more. So, remember the davening on Yom Kippur? We read about the 10 martyrs. Yeah? So the angels came to God and were crying. They're killing Rabbi Akiva. What did Eibishter say? Remember in the davening? The Eibishter said, "Be quiet. I'll turn the world back to mush." How's that for an answer?
Wouldn't angels not disobey? I mean, they're soldiers of God, and they don't have emotions.
So they
They
stopped.
follow orders, they're not meant to speak.
Yeah, so they stopped complaining. But what kind of answer is that? It really sounds like bullying. Be quiet, I'll turn the world back to mush.
Back? When you said back, you mean you done it before?
In the beginning, the world was tohu.
Oh yeah, that's actually right.
The meaning of it is really important and beautiful. The Eibishter said to the angels, "You're crying? You're hurting because Jews are being tortured? They're not your children. They're my children. You didn't create them. I created them. So if you can feel the pain, what do you think? You have to tell me that my pain is infinitely greater than yours." So then you might say, well, if it hurts you so much, stop it. So the Eibishter says, you know what stop it means? Stop it means turn the world back to mush. Not doing that. In other words, the kavanah for which the Eibishter created the world is so necessary, he'll even do things that hurt himself. Now imagine, this is so important to him, and he's dependent on us to do it. How painful is that? I need something desperately, and I depend on you to help me.
Why does he need it from us? He can just do it himself. I mean, he just snaps his finger. He can have whatever he wants.
Right. It's a good question.
Nothing special.
It's a good question. And really find an answer to that question. But the point is that when we daven, it's because it's his mitzvah. We're doing it for him. Sometimes I don't feel like davening. And that's what I should tell him. When you daven and you don't feel like davening, that's what you should say to the Eibishter. Here I am, I don't feel like davening. But I'll say the words because you enjoy it. That's a reality check. You're being honest. So somebody once asked his mashpia, I try to daven, I try to feel something, and I never do. So the mashpia said, that's a good davening. That was a reality check. That's what davening is supposed to do. remind you of where you are and what's going on with you. So if davening reminds you that you don't feel anything godly, that's good. How can Torah know better than science? A scientist actually has real data. Torah is just a book written by a rabbi that never went into a real lab. I want to tell you some good news and bad news. A couple of weeks ago, doctors discovered a part of the body they never knew existed. Can you believe this? The human body. They found something in the human body they never knew.
It happened a few weeks ago?
Huh?
A few weeks ago?
Yep.
Okay.
Never heard that.
What is it?
There's a layer of skin between parts, organs, whatever, that carry a fluid. It's like two layers, and there's a fluid that flows throughout the entire body in that tube. The reason they never saw it is because how do doctors learn what the body is?
They open it up and look at it.
They open up a dead body. A dead body has lost its fluid. So they never saw that skin filled with fluid. They thought it was just a piece of skin. Not skin, but whatever it is there.
Membrane?
A membrane. Now they're thinking that fluid that flows through that membrane could actually control cancer. Now, can you believe? So, first of all, it's very good news. They found it. The bad news is scary. You mean doctors still don't even know what the body looks like? There's more to discover in a human body? There is more. Medicine has not completely understood the body. Like, for example, the genetic code. We still don't know. As soon as we figure out the genetic code, we will be able to cure everything. A guy gets his arm cut off, he can grow another one.
Right, because you have a default genetic setting.
So, eventually we are going to discover what controls the genetic code. See, right now we say, oh, it's genetic, that's it. Wait a minute. If you have a genetic flaw, what caused that? Well, it's genetic. So, why do you have that genetic abnormality? What controls your genes? Right now they think genes controls everything. Yeah, and what controls your genes? So even a genetic illness should be able to be cured. Figure out what controls the genes. So there's still so much more that we need to figure out. The Chachamim, not today's Chachamim, the real Chachamim knew the body better because they knew why the body is the way it is. If you start off in Ruchnius, and it all comes down, Seder Ishtalshalos, that the arm is Chesed, and the other arm is Gvura, and your kidneys are whatever, and you know the blueprint.
Kidneys are 8 or something.
The Chachamim knew the body because they looked at the blueprint. The doctors study the body as the body is. A very, very powerful argument. We had a terrible accident in Minnesota. A kid was crossing the street from Cheder. He was hit by a mail truck. And he was in a coma. And the doctors said that he's brain dead and they should unplug everything and just let him. And the father said no. Keep him alive. And the doctor said, he's not alive, he's brain dead. So the father said, and he's not the biggest genius in the world. He said, how do you, the father. But, a father's devotion, you suddenly become brilliant. He said to the doctor, how do you know he's brain dead? The guy said, look at the monitor. There's no activity. He said, 10 years from now, will you have a better, more sophisticated monitor? The guy said, probably. He says, so you're telling me my child is dead because your monitor is old-fashioned? You're telling me that the monitor can be improved on. So 10 years from now, we'll have a monitor that can pick up brain waves better than this machine. So you're going to kill my kid because your machine is old? That's why the Torah says brain dead is not acceptable, because you have no idea what's going on in the brain. Your machine is old-fashioned.
The kids survive.
But if the person is not breathing, then he's dead.
He was breathing.
Huh?
He was breathing.
Yeah. So the point is this. Technology is fascinating and really impressive, but only up to a point. It's just a machine. Who made this machine? A guy. You're going to get a smarter guy, he'll make a better machine. That's the nature of science. There's always room for improvement. If there's no more room for improvement, you're not a scientist anymore. It's become your religion. So the scientist is the one who turns to the Eibishter for guidance more than the non-scientist, more than the non-doctor. Because the doctor knows exactly what his limits are. The scientist understands his limits. That's what makes him a scientist. But the scientist who thinks he knows everything is not a scientist anymore. He's practicing a religion called scientism, like Judaism. Of course, we don't have those kinds of chachamim anymore. Somebody in the Gemara, one of the Tanoim said, I can estimate how many drops of water there are in the ocean. Pretty impressive, yeah? So Rabbi Yoel, who is very good at math, Rabbi Yoel asks, what's the big deal? You figure out how big the ocean is, you figure out how much you figure it out. For this you have to be a Tana? And his answer is, of course you can figure it out if you take measurements. The Tana was able to tell you how many drops of water there are in the ocean without measuring.
Asking like one big drop.
Huh? Yeah, like what exactly is a drop? The point is, he knew what an ocean was because he knew where it comes from, Lamaila. In other words, he read the blueprint. He doesn't have to measure. One more question? How much time do we have? Huh? Okay, well, then I want to go back to the zombie girls. I think that's a very important question. Many midrashim contradict each other. How can they all be true? Is the whole Torah true? See, the whole Torah is true, and also everything is in the Torah, and that's why you have what looks like contradictory, because everything in the world, including the contradictory stuff, begins in Torah. If we really understood Torah properly, we would see how it's all one idea. Just like the scientist, the greatest scientist is the one who can see that all the laws of nature are really just one law. Like Einstein. It bothered him that there are so many laws. There can't be so many laws. There has to be one law that controls everything. And that's his theory of relativity. So certainly it's true of Torah if it's true of the world. All right. What's wrong with having a friend that's a girl? If she's just a friend, like a boy, so what's the difference to you? If she's a person, then why do you have to have a girlfriend? She's just a person. On the other hand, if you think girls are zombies, and that's why you're interested in having a friend that's a girl, then she's not just a person. She's a zombie. That's not nice. So, if there's a girl that you look at as a human being, just a person, then Gesundheit. Say good morning like a mensch. Talk to her like a mensch, not like a zombie. But if you think, oh no, she's not a person, she's a girl, then do her a favor and stay away from her. Because you're nasty. The girls from Besivka, they once asked me, how come you can't talk to boys? I said, that's a very good question. What is it with boys? You can't talk to them. They're crazy. A girl tries to talk to a boy, and it's not normal. It's like, too excited, calm down, I just want to talk to you. You can't just talk to a boy. Because to them, we're the zombies. So you got two zombies trying to be friends. It just doesn't work. So here's the point. If you're a mensch and you look at a girl like a mensch, then what's the problem? If all of a sudden it's a girlfriend, stop it. It's not nice. There's a Mishnah. The Mishnah says, Al tarbe sicha im ha'isha. What does that mean?
Don't overly converse with women.
Don't overly converse with women. How much is overly? How about one sentence?
A man's perspective or a woman's perspective?
How about one sentence?
Depends whose perspective. A man's sentence is a sentence.
Yeah,
Woman's
right.
perspective.
Okay. So when the Mishnah says overly, what does that mean?
Any more than necessary.
Any more than necessary. So somebody said to the mayor's wife, somebody said to her, good morning to you. And she said, you didn't have to say to you. Is that what it means? Like count your words and don't say. That's weird.
Don't go looking to make extra conversation.
Ah. What does it mean, al tarbe sicha? Not harbe.
Oh, don't be looking to make more conversation.
Don't create conversation just because she's a woman. Which is a very common thing.
That's not common.
You have a guy sitting on the plane next to another guy for 8 hours. They never say a word to each other. Why? They got nothing to say. The same guy is sitting next to a woman on the plane. All of a sudden, he's got so much to say. He must know what the weather is. Or what time it is. Why? You're not treating her like a person. If she was a person and you have nothing to say, you wouldn't say anything. Why are you creating a conversation, yesh ma'ayin, because she's a woman? Then don't do that. Talk to her like a mensch, which means if you have something to say, you say it. You don't have anything to say, don't say it.
You want to have a friend, speak to your friend all day.
Huh?
I speak to him all day. I want to speak to a girl all day.
No, but you talk because they're a woman.
No,
That's
my
what I'm
friend. I think my friend all day.
You don't think? Yeah.
So now the question is, why can't I speak to a girl all day?
No, he's probably saying as much as you talk to boys.
That's right. So if you're looking at the girl not as a zombie, but as a person, then you're a mensch. So if you have something to say, you'll say it. If she has something to say, you'll hear it. But don't create zombies. A mother tells me she's all upset. She can't believe it. She's so because her son came home and said that he has a girlfriend. Yeshiva Bacher. She doesn't know what to do.
Friends who also is a girl or a girlfriend?
No space.
A girlfriend. So what should she do? She should ask him, what is she like? Let me see your taste in girls. What do you like about her? What's good about her? No? You're not curious?
Sure, go ahead.
In other words, if you do have a girlfriend, so are you being a mensch about it, or are you a zombie? You're going to zombie out together? And that's true of everything. We can't, listen to this. The worst thing in the world is to walk around with guilt that you can't do anything about. It's horrible. The Alter Rebbe says in Tanya, if you're upset because you did an availa, cut it out. That's not tshuva. Being upset that you did an availa is part of the availa. So not only did you do an availa, now you're miserable too. Just making it worse. Our response, because we're Chabad, our response to an availa is a mitzvah. Not, oy vey, I did an availa. I just heard this joke. A guy, a misnagid, a frum misnagid, was captured by the enemy, and they're going to kill him. So he makes a bracha. Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvosav v'tzivonu al mesiras nefesh. And the guy who was going to kill him suddenly says, "You're weird," and he walks away. So the misnagid says, "No, bracha levatala. You got to kill me. I made a bracha." The answer to an aveda is a mitzvah, not kvetching. You see, if you're afraid of an aveda, then the Yetzer Hara has already won the battle. He got you. If you're upset over your aveda, but of course you continue to do it, that's not tshuva. Stop being upset. We're not afraid of avedas. We're excited about mitzvahs. So some guy came for a weekend many years ago from some campus, and after Shabbos he was going back to the campus, and they got to go into Yechidus. So he went into Yechidus, and the Rebbe said to him, when you get back to campus, remind your friends to put on tefillin. He said, Rebbe, I don't put on tefillin. The Rebbe said, so. So because you're doing an aveda, that's why nobody should do the mitzvah? That doesn't make sense. Well, shouldn't he fix himself first before he fixes others? No.
He doesn't want to seem like a hypocrite. He's telling other people to do stuff that he doesn't do.
Yes.
He's helping himself.
So what's better, to be a hypocrite and help people, or to be a hypocrite and not help people?
No, but we're trying to say, like, maybe I'm not the best person to tell these people.
You're not.
Exactly, so maybe I shouldn't do it.
That's a different story. You're not the best person. The least you can do is help somebody put on tefillin. Like a shliach said to me, he's been a shliach for about 17 years. He says, I have to quit. I have to quit. I said, why? He said, I can't stand it. I'm such a hypocrite. I'm telling everybody else what to do, and I don't do what I'm supposed to do. So I said to him, you think when the Rebbe sent you on shlichus, he didn't know you were a hypocrite? When the Rebbe sent you on shlichus, it was something like this. The Rebbe said, hypocrite. Come here. You want to do something useful? Go on shlichus. He didn't say, first, stop being a hypocrite. Then come back, I'll test you to see if you're still a hypocrite, and if you're not, I'll send you on shlichus. No. He called him over and said, hypocrite, you're wasting your time. You want to do something good? Or the same thing, like, should we be a tzaddik or a rasha? Who cares? Be a tzaddik, be a rasha. Do something good. That's the approach that we should have. We have to do good. You also did an availa. Brush yourself off and go back to doing good. Only now do more good. So, but that's hypocrisy. Yes. But I said to this guy, he wants to quit because he's being a hypocrite. I said, so if you quit shlichus, you won't be a hypocrite? That's it? Then now you're an honest person? No, you're still a hypocrite, and you're wasting your time.
Yeah, but don't we say tachnan to do Chabad?
Yeah.
I'm just wondering.
You say tachnan to do tshuva, not to get into a bad mood.
You get forgiven for everything. That's why you say tachnu.
Is what?
Sivan.
Nisa.
Yeah.
Sivan. ER.
You just ask if tachnu is sure, so you don't say tachnu the whole month, so you get forgiven for everything. Okay, that's cool.
Or somebody once said, why is God so harsh? Is he harsh? Look, if you were in my house, you came to my house, and I welcomed you, you're a guest in my house, and I said to you, I have 613 conditions for your staying in my house.
After you leave my house, you should get a nice place to sleep.
613 conditions for staying in my house. If you violate 20 of them, you're going to have to leave. Is that harsh?
What are the conditions?
There's nowhere to leave to.
What is chayiv misa? What is misa? Misa means I don't want you in my house anymore. How many of the 613 mitzvahs are punishable by misa? 20, 30, 50, even 100. So what does that mean? It means you can do 513 things I don't like, and you can still stay in my house. That's harsh?
Yeah, 550.
But if you do one of them, you like return to sender, they just put you back in heaven?
Yeah, I mean, if you start selling my furniture, get out of my house. If you light a fire in the living room, get out of my house. I'm not going to wait until you do other things. That's bad enough, right? But there are 513 things that I really don't like, and you can still stay in my house. That's not harsh.
No, but you die if
So
you
if
do
you
anything.
do
You
it-
get skill up hurt.
do
So
what?
anything that you do, you die.
Really?
Once you do a mistake.
Right. That's the other thing. Even if you burn my house down, if it was by accident, you can come back to my new house.
No, but
It's not
on
harsh.
purpose, everything you'd get killed for.
No.
What do you mean?
Not for stealing.
You get kares, miso, skila.
For certain things. How many? How many avedas are chayav misa? Aveda Zorah, Shabbos, murder.
So what
All
else?
three.
How do you get punished for everything else?
You have to bring a carbon, you get malchus.
Gotta pay some money.
Hmm?
Gotta pay some money.
Fine.
It's not fine.
In other words, you have to undo the damage, but you don't have to leave the house.
Also, if two people are watching you burn down.
Huh?
If two people are watching you burn
Right.
down.
Right. If I know you burnt down my house, but there aren't two witnesses, I won't throw you out. Kind of strange, huh?
Video cameras are counted.
Anyway, Chavre, it's been a pleasure. The point of the story is that if you ask a good question, you'll probably get a good answer.
So you only answered the good questions?
Yeah. A bad question gets a bad answer. It matches.
Thank you very much.